But first, you need to see the pattern that started it all. Because the hardest part isn't what they did. It's why you still feel attached long after you know it hurt you. You knew something was wrong. You noticed the mood shifts, the confusion, the way affection felt conditional. But you also remember how good it felt in the beginning. The constant messages, the intensity, the feeling of being deeply seen. Let's start with what I call confusion through comparison. Mark tells Sarah she's better than his exes, smarter, kinder, more emotionally aware. He says things like, "I've never connected with anyone like this before." Sarah feels chosen, special, finally enough. Then the tone shifts. "My ex never reacted like this. You're not as supportive as you used to be. You've changed." Nothing is dramatic. Nothing is obvious. But something feels off. Sarah starts replaying conversations in her head. She wonders what she did wrong. She tries to be more understanding, more patient, more like the version of herself that once felt loved. The most confusing part isn't the devaluation. It's that the idealization was real. That's why your nervous system keeps waiting for it to come back. In narcissistic relationships, this cycle repeats. Intense admiration followed by criticism, distance, or emotional withdrawal. The emotional whiplash doesn't push people away. It pulls them deeper in. You're not chasing the person. You're chasing the feeling of being chosen again. And if you're wondering why your body still craves the person who hurt you, this is where trauma bonding begins. What they miss isn't the pain. It's the relief that followed it. Distance is followed by sudden affection. Every low is eventually met with a high. Eric tells himself, "This must be real, because it hurts this much." Calm relationships feel strange to him. Quiet feels unsafe. Stability feels empty. His nervous system has learned that intensity equals connection. So he stays, not because he's happy, but because leaving feels like losing something powerful, like walking away from a story that isn't finished yet. Trauma bonding forms through intermittent reinforcement, affection, withdrawal, relief, repeat. Your body doesn't bond to consistency. It bonds to unpredictability. Trauma bonding isn't about loving someone too much. It's about your nervous system mistaking relief for connection. And this is why people often say, "I know it was bad, but I miss them." And the cycle tightens. In the beginning, narcissists offer validation that feels intoxicating. Compliments feel rare and deeply personal. Praise feels earned. You start to feel valuable through their eyes. Over time, that validation becomes inconsistent. Affection becomes conditional. Approval becomes something you work for. You may start shrinking yourself, speaking less, asking for less, needing less, just to keep the peace. Fear of abandonment keeps many people frozen. Leaving doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like loss, like failure, like giving up on something that almost worked. Narcissists often exploit this fear by alternating warmth and criticism. Just enough affection to keep hope alive. Just enough distance to trigger panic. You may think, "At least with them, I'm not alone." Even when you already feel deeply lonely in the relationship. This creates an internal war. Part of you wants to leave. Another part is terrified of what happens if you do. Anxiety grows, dependency deepens, and just when you reach a breaking point, something pulls you back in. Let's talk about the if-only trap. Maria has been married for over 20 years. When conflict arises, she adjusts herself. If I communicate better, if I'm more patient, if I don't react. She remembers the apologies, the tears, the promises. She remembers the moments where he seemed to understand. Hope shifts responsibility onto her. Their lack of change begins to feel like her failure. Narcissists often promise growth during moments of crisis. They may sound sincere. They may even change briefly. But consistency never follows. Change becomes something that only appears when you're about to leave. Real change doesn't need reminders, deadlines, or ultimatums. It shows up quietly, and it stays. If this is resonating, The next video goes deeper into why narcissists promise change and why it almost never lasts. Breaking free doesn't start with strength. It starts with seeing the pattern clearly. Boundaries protect clarity. Support restores perspective. Self-reflection helps separate learned survival responses from real needs. Healing isn't about fixing the relationship. It's about rebuilding trust with yourself. Narcissism involves a deep need for admiration and a lack of emotional reciprocity, often rooted in insecurity. Charm and confidence draw people in, but empathy and accountability are missing. If you want a deeper breakdown, watch our video. Identifying Narcissistic Behaviors and the 9 Signs You Must Know, linked on screen and in the description of this video. These relationships don't trap people because they're weak. They trap people through confusion, hope, and emotional conditioning. Understanding these patterns is the first step toward freedom. If this resonated with you, you're not alone and you're not broken. And when you're ready, watch the next video about trauma bonding. Why leaving feels worse than staying. It explains the part no one talks about.